Oh, we are live, and I am small. No, I'm big. Hello, this is Neil Long on the Midday Show, and a very, very warm welcome. We're live. It's Wednesday afternoon, just gone midday, and two super exciting guests to come up today. And here's one. Hello, Vanessa Holburn.
Hiya.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. And sort of glad to be inside with the foggy weather, definitely.
Oh, whereabouts in the UK are you? Where it's foggy?
So I live just outside Reading in Berkshire, and
Oh, yeah.
it dropped in temperature again last night, and it's all foggy still.
Yeah. I drove home in a real pea super the other night, all the way back from oh god, where was I? It's gone on my head. It was a long way away. Kent, I think. Oh yeah, Kent. That was it. Rochester. Yeah. Short-term memory getting worse here. That was only 2 days ago. Lovely part of the world, Reading. My daughter lives there or near there.
Okay, yeah, it's got a great university. It is the largest town in the UK. So.
Is that right? Is that your
Yeah.
fun fact about Reading?
That is, yeah. I know that from my daughter's geography A-level.
Brilliant. It's also a massive hub as well, because when you're driving along it's the M4, isn't it? There's so many exits to it. It's such absolutely massive hub. Anyway, what is this?
This is my book, my latest book. It is out on the 22nd of January, Secret Women. It's an anthology of stories of women across the world. So we're talking Afghanistan, Morocco, some places in Europe, America, some Australians who live in England, as well as lots of English and British people, talking about the secrets they've kept in their life. The majority of the women, there's probably about 30 stories in all, are anonymous. There's a few people who are out with their secrets now and campaign, but mostly it's about this concept of why do women feel the need to keep secrets? Is that always a good thing? Can it be a bad thing? And what kind of secrets are people keeping?
Tell us more.
So yeah, it cuts across people's political lives. I mentioned some campaigners and activists there, their professional lives. So I speak to some private investigators that are female. I spoke to the sister of a lady who worked at Eastcote, which was an outpost of Bletchley during the war. Obviously that lady has passed, but her sister did all this really important work during the war, but never spoke about it until she was in her 80s. So her parents, for example, never knew the role that she played. And I think that was a combination of modesty and also the Official Secrets Act. And I think people just didn't sort of show off in the same way that perhaps they might today.
No, can't imagine that kind of thing going on Insta, really, can you? Not that they had Insta back then, and even if they did, I imagine it wouldn't have. Well, yeah, plus it's an official secret, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. I think in the 70s,
some people were a little almost too traumatized to talk about it.
Absolutely, and I think those people who were working for the government, but back in England, felt that perhaps the trauma belonged to, the active soldiers who obviously came back very much affected by the things they'd seen and what they'd witnessed. There's also personal life stories, people's relationships, secret relationships, affairs, their sex life, perhaps things they don't want to be judged about. Working wise, there's also people that create adult content, work as professional mistresses, and it's interesting they're not just keeping their own secrets, they're often keeping the secrets of their clients. So that's a two-way.
Oh, now we're getting juicy, because everyone who's listening wants to.
Absolutely. I mean, there's some.
I mean, don't say anything you're uncomfortable with, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there's people who are into kink, all sorts of things that they would happily share, and maybe they have a community that they share that with. But on the larger scale, they know that might affect how people could see them, how it might affect their work. They're not doing anything illegal, and make that quite clear.
No.
And people who have in the past had relationships that, looking back, they wouldn't be doing today, but that was an experience. And it's a privilege, obviously, for them to share the secret with me. And they're completely unidentifiable in the book. So it's a nice open space for them to share. Other people.
How do you find these people?
Okay, so a lot of social media adverts, if you like, posting various places. I also went a bit old school and pinned up notes in coffee shops. And then, I obviously everyone I knew I was writing, and I encouraged them, to share my little leaflets and posters. So people came to me, and I think for a lot of people, there's two parts of that. They might want to speak to me because they want to help other people in their situations. Some of these people, for example, suppressed maybe their sexuality or a diagnosis of mental health or ADHD, and they don't want other people to feel that same kind of pressure that maybe then affected their lives negatively.
So they sort of use their experience to help other people. Let's say someone suppress their, because we're quite a suppressive culture anyway, aren't we? So let's say someone has suppressed their sexuality.
Yeah.
And
so for the example in the book would be, a lady had a heterosexual life. She got married, she raised children, but she knew that she was different. And, she's in later life now. So obviously many years ago, that was still very much frowned upon. She thought she could kind of suppress it, but that led to alcoholism and just not being herself. So looking back, she obviously wishes that she'd been more honest when she was younger. And
I mean, I think with things like that, thank goodness we live in a culture now that's more accepting of, talking about sexuality. It's a massive spectrum, massive, as are many things. What is entirely right and wrong? There isn't really, is there? As long as you're not harming anybody, in anything. There's no sort of right or wrong written in the sky. But I think we're becoming more open and tolerant to the
I think the
diversity of it.
The book probably shows there is still quite a lot of things that women feel they need to keep secret, either for their safety or, to protect what people might think of them. That's kind of judgment. I speak to people who believe in witchcraft, shamanism, the occult, and they're following those life practices. Perhaps they come from backgrounds that are church oriented or religious, and they feel they can't share that perhaps with their immediate family or their partners, because it's not,
or even partners.
I think there's still a lot of things that we keep back, and I think perhaps that's what's interesting. I speak to women, as young as 19 and as old as 90, and they've all got secrets. So it's quite likely that every single one of us does know someone who is concealing something, either for their work because they have to, or because of judgment, or because of safety. Something like domestic abuse survivors, for example, it's a 1 in 4 figure. So, it figures that we do know someone that's keeping that a secret.
But that's completely reasonable. Judgment's a big one. I don't really think anyone's got the right to. I really believe each to their own. Whatever's right for the individual. We're all responsible for ourselves. We're all, and that's cool. And I've got no problem with that. I mean, domestic violence is a completely different issue. 1 in 4, is it? Is it really 1 in 4?
Yeah. I mean, there's just so much going on, I suppose, under the surface. And the book sort of shows, I think, how women do want to share. That it is a massive relief to share. The stories are written in the women's own words. So obviously, I would speak to them. I'd write it up. I'd return it to them to sort of have full editorial control. I didn't want anything in the book they wouldn't be happy with.
Of course.
And for a lot of people, then there was a time that they would take to process seeing it actually written down, and being prepared to share it.
I think there's a healing journey of sorts going on here for these. I mean, keeping a dark and dirty secret, and I mean that from the perspective of the person that's keeping it, because everyone thinks their secrets are dark and dirty, don't they? It's a lot of energy.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's a lot of work to be seen as right in the eyes of others. But as long as they're not harming anyone else, in my opinion, there's no wrong. It's almost a shame.
I think a lot of these people would be they'd have, as you say, more energy for their own lives if they felt they didn't have to keep a bit of it back. But, and I do think there's still a lot of judgment in society. And if you're working, you're looking for a job, or you're employed, or you're in a close-knit community, or, as I said, a lot of it is connected to perhaps how they were raised and what their family's values are. That does affect whether people feel they can be 100% honest.
But they can be anonymously, can't they?
Exactly. And I did find a lot of the people will have spoken to maybe a few very close female friends. So it was nice to see that out there is a sisterhood, if you like, that exists and has always existed. Because, as I mentioned, some of these stories go quite far back. Some are very recent. So it's nice to think that people still do find other people to confide in. But certainly we need to be a lot less judgmental about sexuality, mental health, and they are things I think society is working towards. But, perhaps you don't want to say to a future employer, you've got ADHD, because you're worried they then think, oh, that's a whole can of worms. Will this person need a special chair? Will they be wearing earphones? Can I accommodate them? So things like that, perhaps you keep back.
It's understandable. Understandable, isn't it? Ian in Surbiton, after 33 years of marriage, we still follow our own individual paths. She likes tarot and Wicca, and I just mutter warlocks. Morning, Ian. Afternoon, rather. Need to live life. Letting the secret out, even if it's just to the author, must be a relief. They have told someone, even if it is still a secret. Yeah, it's that catharsis. It's finally being able to let go of that heavy weight, I would have thought.
Yes, absolutely. Some of the people that I spoke to were quite emotional when I was speaking to them. But it is definitely a relief. It's a relief to share it. And in some ways, certainly for one of the women in the book, it was a first step to thinking, do you know what? I can speak more publicly about this. It's not something that I need to be ashamed of. And that's
so where have we made progress where people will speak more openly about things? I think in mental health, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think in sexuality as well. You look at some of the modern day sexuality teachers and their message is there is no shame if you like it and everyone's consenting. What's the problem?
Yeah. I feel like you might see, I forget what the program is on the mainstream TV, but, about people's sex lives and trying more things. Was it called Open House? Anywho, so I think people are perhaps more open, but I don't know. I don't think all judgment has dispersed. I think there's still a lot out there, and I suppose
you're right. I'm being a bit rose-tinted glasses, aren't I? I mean, it's
a double-edged sword, because if you feel that you're going to be judged, that's still going to stop you, even if the reality might be people would be a lot more accepting than you might imagine.
Progress on mental health, though, don't you think?
Yeah, and neurodiversity, I think. Yeah,
and that.
Yeah. And, I'd like to think there is progress on moving the shame away from survivors of abuse. Giselle Pellicot over in France, obviously she said afterwards that she'd waived her right to be anonymous because, the shame isn't ours to have. The shame is on the rapist. But yeah, I think people still feel victims, perhaps the criminal system still makes them feel shame, asking them, what they were wearing, where they were going, bringing up their past lives.
There is shame, but it ain't theirs. It's, and that's been very clear to me for many years. And I don't know why there's still any doubt about this. I really don't. But, there you go. Now, you said this is your latest book.
Yes. So this book.
Tell us about some of your others. Do you have one for men's secrets?
No, but if you've got something you'd like to share, feel free.
I opened the door for that, didn't I?
So they're all non-fiction. 3 are quite historical non-fiction. I have one about the Amritsar massacre, which is something that happened in colonial India. I have a Holocaust memoir taken from the letters of a Hungarian Jewish lady who knew nothing about her family's history at Auschwitz and in work camps, because her parents hadn't chosen not to speak to her at all. So when she was in her 70s, she finally got round to kind of decluttering her home, found this Pandora's box of all this family documentation. And I worked with those letters. We worked through all the history and found out everything we could. I have a book about the Profumo affair, which is obviously quite close to me in Berkshire. And then I have some how-to books taken from a political campaign that I was involved in that brought in a new law to stop kittens and puppies being sold in pet shops and boot fairs, things like that. So one book is called How to Be an Activist, and it works through all the things I learned from that campaign. And one is How to Pick a Puppy, which is an ethical guide to getting a puppy to make sure you don't end up with puppy farming.
Just something I picked up on there for a second. I can understand why puppies shouldn't be sold at boot fairs, of course, but pet shops. But pet shops?
Pet shops, because they don't get them from what I would call ethical breeders. They get them from massive, and I mean massive, puppy farms. They were bringing them in from abroad, where obviously there's no regulations whatsoever. And a healthy, well-socialized puppy, which is obviously what you want if you're going to spend 10 to 15 years with that dog in your life, needs a really nice, firstly, all the parents need to be health checked. And then it needs to really, the mother dog needs to be in a home environment when those puppies are very little. The mother dog needs to know love, needs to trust humans, needs to be physically safe and well. Otherwise, those kind of health problems and personality problems, if you like, behavior problems, can be passed onto those puppies. Those first 8 to 12 weeks of a puppy's life are so important for how their temperament will be later on.
Sounds a bit like human beings.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I always remember when I used to go walking around the park and I'd meet this guy with a pit bull every morning. And of course, I can imagine the first thought that sprung into everyone's head, but this creature was lovely. Yeah. And he says this particular creature was lovely. And he said, you love them like human beings and they love you back. It's as simple as that. Dina Walters says, at least at pet shops, they're treated very well. Do you agree?
Well, for a start, it's now illegal in England anyway. And there are lots of reasons why that law was passed.
Hang on. It's illegal to sell. I've missed something here.
Yeah. That was, I think, April 22, the law changed.
I never knew.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there goes the royalties for that song. How much is the doggy in the window?
Yeah, exactly. Certainly, the pet shop that I was very familiar with did not treat the dogs well. The puppies were left overnight. Basically when the shop shut until the shop opened in the morning, those puppies were on their own. Now, anyone who's had a very young puppy will know that they cry at night when they're little, when they've just been taken away from their mother. So yeah, I wouldn't say that a puppy should be in a pet shop. People coming in all day long, poking it, picking it up. You're looking at transferable diseases then. You're looking at a puppy being very, very tired because they need a lot of sleep, and being handled by people who perhaps don't know how to handle that puppy is not a good thing at all.
This is not something I've ever given any thought to. I just sort of accepted it, pet shops. So is it illegal to sell cats in shops?
Not kittens, no. I mean, kittens and puppies basically cannot be sold it's called third party environments. So that's a pet shop, a boot fair.
Kittens and puppies. What about the adult animals?
I don't think so. I'm not 100% clear on that, but the law that we brought in was for puppies.
This law is a result of your campaign?
Not only mine, I should say. I was just one small cog in a massive team. But I was involved in that. It was called Lucy's Law. If anyone out there wants to Google it and learn a bit more, if you did hashtag Lucy's Law.
I think there's an important takeaway here because people bemoan the state of the world all the time, and that's all they do, sort of bemoan it. Yeah. But to try and do something about it, and I do understand this argument as well, it seems so massive and overwhelming. And
Yeah,
these things can be achieved, can't they?
yeah. I mean, it was a massive achievement, definitely, and that's really why I wrote the book, because there are a lot of people out there who perhaps been affected by something that affects their family, medical care, a lack of service provision for certain things. They'd all like to see changes locally or nationally or globally. And there are ways to do that, and that's what How to Be an Activist does. It sort of takes you through how to kind of crystallize your thoughts, how to get other people involved, who you need to target at a local council level, how to take that further. I mean, there's a lot of groups. They're called all-party parliamentary groups at the Houses of Parliament that you can go along to as a member of the public, an interested member of the public, and get involved at policy making level. So, that's something else that if people have got a campaign that's really close to their heart, they can look up all-party parliamentary groups.
What an absolutely fascinating thing.
Absolutely.
I've learned an awful lot in the last 20 minutes. Laws on pet shops, all-party parliamentary groups, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just as a sort of ending point for the puppy thing, if you want a puppy, I highly recommend visiting a breeder at their house, not anywhere else, not on a motorway service station or anything like that. Go to their house. You should expect them to be interviewing you rather than asking just, can I have cash, please? That's how you find someone who cares about the puppies they're breeding and has health checked the parents, and is looking to bring those into a loving environment for a long time. A long, healthy life is obviously what every dog deserves.
Yeah, doggies are life, not for Christmas and all that. Do you have a dog?
I have a rescue lurcher, who's 10 now, who comes from the RSPCA, bless him.
Oh, bless. Well, this has been absolutely fascinating thus far. Just thinking what else I can ask. I don't know if I need to go back to the juicy secrets. No, I think we'll leave that at a tease.
I suppose the other thing I'd say about the Secret Women book, and probably a lot of the books that I write, is come from this interest in everyday people, because absolutely everyone has a really fascinating story. I'm sure you see this all the time in your work, and to be able to discuss those stories for me is like, it's a privilege, but fascinating, endlessly fascinating. I find people when I write.
What interests you so much in people's stories?
Just I think because you'd walk past them in the street and perhaps not realise. So it's that aspect of you really never know who someone else is until you have a really good chat with them and walk around in their shoes, if you like. So that's fascinating. And the fact that most people perhaps don't volunteer information, the really integral part of their personality, they often don't mention until you specifically ask.
This is brought home to me at, of all things, comedy clubs, because I'm into stand-up comedy. I do it myself. And you meet these people there, and they're fantastic on stage, and yet you wouldn't look twice if you saw them walking down the street. And it's all these hidden, no one to say secrets, but hidden talents of people. The music that's being written, the comedy that's being performed, the you name it. And there's a lot to us human beings, isn't there?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a peculiarly British thing to be quite modest about your talents as well. You only have to watch X Factor or something like that to see how many people are just fantastic singers. So most people, do have like an element, but they've probably got lots of elements. Actually, it won't be just one element that's massively interesting about them. But if you just pass them on the bus, or maybe you even work with them for 10 years, but you don't really ever kind of know what makes them tick. So bringing those stories out for me is why I write.
How many hours a week do you spend writing?
Well, I guess I would say it's probably a part-time job, because I do have children and pets at home to run, all things like that. So it's not like I get to my desk at 9 and don't leave till 5 o'clock every day. But sometimes, when I was writing this book, obviously the hours that you put in are a lot longer, and then you might have some downtime as well. That's the feast and famine of the freelance world, for sure.
Brian Kingsford, who is an author as well, he says, so many people would hold secrets, female and male. I don't know if you just joined us, Brian, but I said that. Yeah, male secrets.
Well,
is that on your mind to do?
Not necessarily, but maybe Brian should do it if he's an author. That I don't know if men would men tell a woman their secrets. You know, was there something? The fact that I was asking other women their secrets, was that the magic of this book? I don't know. It would be interesting to see what secrets men keep, because again, I think we're now beginning to discuss how men have to, you know, be a certain way in society, be seen a certain way, and perhaps that's getting worse with people like Andrew Tate. You know, do you have to be masculine all the time and things like that? Yeah, fascinating. All people are fascinating, male or female.
It's been absolutely lovely talking to you.
Thank you
very much indeed for answering my request on Lightbulb this morning. And I don't think Brian's going to do that. He's an author of poetry. I've seen some of it.
Oh, wow.
Totally different style of writing for me. Yes,
Yeah.
he's very, very soulful in his writing.
Oh, okay.
And he's on holiday at the moment. He asked me if I was on the Midday Show. He's on holiday. He's going to be tuning in. So I hope you're having a nice holiday, Brian, as well.
That does sound nice.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you so much, Vanessa.
It's an absolute pleasure.
If people want to find you, where do you live online?
Instagram at Vanessa Holburn Writer. You can just Google my name as well, Vanessa Holburn, and the books will come up, probably some of my articles. That's it. Yeah, perfect. I am on Facebook as well, so you should be able to find me. And the books are available just in all the normal places. So if you put my name into Amazon, you'll see my whole catalogue there.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Good luck with everything.
Great. Thank you.
And keep doing what you're doing. And I'm fascinated. I need to read your book, so I'm going to download it.
Perfect.
I'm going to download it later on today. What I'll do, I'll send you the footage of this a little bit later on. Feel free to use it for any purposes. And thanks for being on the Midday Show.
Perfect. Thanks very much for having me. Bye-bye.
Lovely talking to you. Bye-bye, Vanessa. Oh, I said bye-bye, Vanessa. About to give you a dramatic exit and you're still there. There we go. I'll just show her book once more. There we go. Secret Women. All about secrets. Fascinating.